How? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the live viewers out there with us right now. Hello to the replay viewers, especially, and hello to Gemma.
Hey.
How are you this fine evening?
Cold, but other than that, not too bad. Can't
Cold.
complain.
Hi to
Cold.
everybody coming in. Hello to
Hey,
TJ
TJ.
and
Hey,
Gary.
Gary.
Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the Mental Health Hour. This is episode 19, Gaslighting in Relationships. So, gaslighting is another viewer requested topic that we discuss here on the Mental Health Hour, and we gladly discuss anything that you guys want to throw our way. As always, Gemma will probably throw the bio link in the comments for everyone. Please remember that if you go onto our bio link, there's all of our socials and everything Mental Health Hour related, and you can ask us an anonymous question if you'd like. Gemma, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, there's a form on there, and you can either ask us an anonymous question. You can put your name, you can put a false name, whatever you want. There is no way of us tracing who sent what to us. And if you want to request a specific topic to discuss as like a broadcast like we're doing tonight, you can also request that. You can put your name to it, you can leave it anonymous, but everything is on there. And as I say, the form is completely 100% anonymous. There is no way that we can find out who sent that.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, so feel free to use that anytime throughout the week. And we can either go over it on the show or not. But it's still a great tool to have. You can reach out to us. We love talking to you guys. We talk to quite a few of you, and we keep it completely anonymous. Outside of this show, we have people message us, and Gemma and I both very much so enjoy responding to any messages that you guys feel like you want to send our way, even if it's just to say hello. So, absolutely, please feel free to keep doing that. No. um, moving forward, today we're going to talk about gaslighting in relationships, and this actually goes hand in hand with our episode 2 weeks ago from narcissistic personality disorder, and so we'll start. We'll start with a short video, but first, Gemma, did you want to say anything about gaslighting before we get into the video?
No, probably play the video and then we can talk about it then. I think that's
Okay.
probably the best. Yeah.
Hello, Molly. Welcome on in, and Donnie,
Hey.
welcome. Welcome everybody to the broadcast. We're going to start with a short little video. It's about 7 minutes, but it explains gaslighting pretty well. As this is somewhat of a new buzzword. It's been around for a while, but it's definitely come more into the forefront here recently, since it deals a lot in relationships, but it also does a lot of very personal friendships and politics and et cetera, et cetera. We're going to try and focus mainly on relationships tonight, just because it kind of keeps it from being so broad, and we can cover, it's all, like Gemma was saying, it's all the same information and easily transferable to other aspects of your life. But yeah, for the purposes of this show, we'll just keep it with like the relationship status. So sit back, enjoy the video here. This is, like I said, about 7 minutes, and then we'll get into some discussion. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments section while we play.
Today we're going to talk about gaslighting. If you're wondering what that is, we'll explain it in this video. No worries, we got you. Despite how we may feel early in the morning, our minds are powerful things. But you know what they say about power, though. With great power comes... This is especially true when someone wants to control us and that power is used for nefarious purposes of manipulation. This can range from passive aggression to the more dangerous action of gaslighting. With gaslighting, an abuser executes several various actions and behaviors that manipulate the victim into questioning everything they feel, believe, and think, essentially eroding their sanity until they're at the gaslighter's mercy. This is the goal of the abuser: control. We understand this sounds worrying, so let's have a look at 10 signs it's not you. It might be gaslighting. 1. You don't feel like you fit in anywhere. Do you feel like you're a complete outcast or somehow hugely different from others? This feeling is being artificially encouraged by the abuser. You're constantly having normal defined for you by this outside input. Further, they also confirm that you don't fit into its boundaries. Gaslighters do this so they can influence what you think about yourself. Thus, they maintain control. 2. You question and doubt yourself. No matter how you define yourself, having your own definition or image of who you are is fundamental. It helps us define our values and beliefs, forming the unique and valuable you. Unfortunately, one of the gaslighter's goals is to shred this definition through persistent lies, like "you're remembering that wrong," or "you never did that." The persistent contradiction is so intense that the victim can begin to doubt things they know about themselves, their memories, and their perceptions. If there's someone in your life who insistently acts like they know everything about you better than you do, they might be a gaslighter. 3. Your self-esteem is much lower since you've been around them. Have you ever heard or seen someone say, "You used to be so outgoing, what happened?" Or even noticed a marked change in yourself? Did this big change seem to occur right around the time a specific person entered the scene? Sounds like a drop in self-esteem. Self-esteem is closely linked to mental health, and the National Alliance of Mental Illness notes that having low self-esteem can lead to depression, anxiety, and even addiction. Abusers actually work to lower your self-esteem, beating you down by bringing up your weaknesses and faults, even if they're not true. This continues until you feel disheartened and believe you aren't worthy of healthy self-esteem. 4. You become depressed. Feeling unstable with your brain a mess makes you more susceptible to depression. To add to this terrible situation, your feelings of sadness and hopelessness are trivialized. The gaslighter will say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You're just being lazy, get up already." This obviously only worsens the situation. 5. You're constantly guilt-tripped. You now have an unfortunate repeat round-trip ticket for the guilt train. Welcome to Blameville. The abuser will blame you for several things, twisting the truth and turning arguments around to dump the fault on you. You may have nothing to do with any of these accusations, but the abuser will continue to persist and insist until you feel guilty. 6. You're frequently let down by them. Gaslighters typically don't keep their promises, and their actions don't match what they say. They thrive on keeping their victims unsure and uncertain. You're constantly asking yourself, will they follow through this time? Do I need to make backup plans? They see no gain in consistently keeping their promises, so they don't. 7. You are frequently lied to. Beyond being let down, outright lies are all too common from the gaslighter. We don't normally allow liars into our lives. We catch the lie, draw the line, and set the boundary. Gaslighters don't make it so easy, as their lies are so subtle in the beginning. Then they gradually lie more frequently and make it so common that the manipulated person can no longer tell the difference between fabrication and reality. 8. Your fears are used against you. Like a Bogart from the Potterverse, gaslighters use your fears against you. This is a control tactic, scaring you into doing what they want. A gaslighter will build on that fear, so it becomes a go-to threat, warning that if you don't change your behaviors to their specifications, you'll end up alone forever. 9. You're isolated from others. If you find yourself wondering where your close friends went or why they're now barely acquaintances, this may be from manipulated isolation. The gaslighter excises others to push you to become more dependent on the only person left, them. They'll spread lies and sow distrust in you and everyone around you, making the gaslighter seem to be the only reliable figure. This further benefits them as your isolation means no one knows what's going on with you, so no one can help. And 10. You question everything. Normally, curiosity is a good thing. Asking questions helps us learn. So of course, count on a gaslighter to ruin it. Now, you're not questioning for enlightenment or knowledge. You're questioning your sanity and every aspect of your own reality, destroying it in the process. The horrific repeated insistence that you're crazy or you're making that up eventually breaks down anything previously stable. Without that solid foundation, you start to wonder if all the terrible things they say are true. Do you see anything that rings a bell in your past or present? Recognize hints of any of these points in others, treated in the ways outlined above, is not positive, normal, or healthy at all. Even though gaslighting can unfortunately have lasting damage, recovery is possible.
Okay. That was a short 7-minute video from, I believe it's Psych to Go. But we'll put that information for that particular
Mhm.
video towards the end of the broadcast. So if you want to learn more on anything mental health, they have a great website. And a lot, I think they have a YouTube channel as well. So,
They do, yeah.
yes. So looking at that video, as I freeze up here a little bit, my internet's in and out. So if I drop off, Gemma's going to run the show. Uh, but looking at that video, gaslighting, and actually the video we just watched and all the reading I've been doing leading up to this episode, the video really portrays a lot of the talking points that I was feeling like, oh man, this was
Mm.
totally me. I was a gaslighter. So I mean, a lot of people can. I mean, it's important to point out that we as a community, and on this show and at this show, and one of the things that we want to promote from this show is not only, you know, I've gone through this, I've gone through that, I've done this, and but also take a look in the mirror and learn about yourself some more, and be able to be okay with saying, man, that sounds like me. I was doing these negative things. Um, and it's so true with me. When I was drinking, hi Dina D, thanks for the award. When I was drinking heavily, and before I got sober, I was gaslighting left and right. Like just reading about it, it was nuts to be like, oh my god, that's me, that's me, that's me. Um, and a lot of it was a lot of my gaslighting that I was putting off on my ex-wife or my current wife now, um, or my work or my friends, was solely so I could continue to do what I wanted to do, and
Mm.
that was obviously drinking. I didn't think I had a problem, and I didn't. I wasn't going to let anybody tell me any other way that I had a problem. So I was going to manipulate the situation in any way I could to continue to do what I wanted to do, and that's gaslighting in and of itself. I mean,
Mhm.
I was changing people's perceptions of me through manipulation, especially my now wife. Um, she probably got it the worst. Now I wasn't abusive with it, but being allowed to continue to do the things I wanted to do made me more abusive, verbally abusive, I never put hands on anybody, but I was definitely an emotional abuser and a verbal abuser when I was drinking.
Mhm.
Um, and it's easy to let that happen to you when you're under the influence of substance. Um, Not everybody is a happy drunk, um, and those are the types of things that I'd like to continue to put forth on this broadcast in particular. It's not always, well, I've been through this and I've been through that. Sometimes it's, I've done that. And it's the ability to take a step back, look in the mirror, and see how you affect other people or how you have affected other people at the same token. Thanks for the burst award, Michael, and welcome on in, everybody. We're talking gaslighting tonight. Gemma, what do you have on the subject?
So I've experienced gaslighting both in relationships with exes and my parents as well. I wasn't, sh- I didn't realize till I was going through the counseling that I was having that you could be gaslighted by parents. I thought that that was just a normal thing, but then that's part of the gaslighting to make you think that that is normal and that it's you, the one that is having that directed at you, that is out of your mind. You start questioning your own sanity, you start questioning everything that you once believed and shutting down on that to the point where, for a quiet life, certainly for me, it was just better for me to just accept everything that was given to me and just let it go. Um, but then that's part of the control as well that they wanted. My relationship on the what was like my son's father and then previous ones as well was very physically abusive, particularly one of them that was not the father of my son. But that took a lot of realizing what was going on, and to get out of that, it's just to realize that that's what's happening, and then to get out of that, that's the hard thing. But for someone that's doing that, like you just said, Tim, to realize that after, um, and to s- to get the help and stuff, like it did say on the video, there is actually hope for it if you recognize that you're doing that. Depending on the reasons for it, some people are just power mad and they will never change the way they are, but it just depends on the reasoning for it as well. But even to this day, like my parents, I don't ever think that that will change. Um, I've seen, now that I've had therapy for it, that they are capable of a relationship that isn't like that, but then there is little hints of it in there with my brother, but not as much.
Hmm.
But then I strongly believe that the reason they do it to me is because when I was born with health conditions from the get-go. And like my mom, for example, has told me twice that she was offered an abortion and then goes, I should have taken it. And then she said that when I was a baby, they couldn't get, because I was in plastic cast from toe to waist.
Hmm.
And she told me that they couldn't get a pushchair or anything to push me around in, and she had to carry me around, and that damaged her hip. And even though she's not said that's your fault, I feel like that's where she's going with it. And I said to her a few times that I didn't ask to be born. And
That's one of the things that reigns true is that a lot of folks like that would say something like that to their children.
Mhm,
What you just said is perfect. Like, I didn't
mhm,
ask to be born. Why are you putting this on me?
mhm. Yeah,
But
thank you, Tina. And it's true, and I think that's why I'm so very, very different with Thomas, to the point where I I do regret some of my decisions as a parent, because now I feel like I've set myself up for a hard time as a single mother, because Thomas gets away with way more than I would normally have let him. Because as a teacher, I'm like, if he was my student, obviously, like, it'd have been different, but there's no way I would have let him get away with some of the things that I do as a mother, if that makes sense. But then as a mother, I'm so determined and hell bent on giving him a life and a childhood that I did not get, and being very different to that of my upbringing. And I want to protect him of the things that I went through, both with my parents, but the relationship that I had with his father as well, because I I was upset by the fact that he could remember a couple of things that had happened between us, and I want him to know that there are healthy ways to have a relationship between partners, that doesn't involve say, for example, the woman at home cooking, the man going to work, or vice versa, or like being summoned to do things and being abusive and being told you can't have friends, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I want him to know that that is not life. And I think that I've put a lot of that onto him. And I've had to realize that at the end of the day, he's only just turned 8. Like, I've had to try and pull back a little bit because I was getting a bit ugh at first with it. But yeah, sorry. There we go.
No, that's okay. Thank you for sharing your experiences as well. That's what makes this show great, is that we have two people
Yeah.
on opposite sides of the planet that can, and it helps reinforce that we can all come together on these topics. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So
And that's what we mean. Like,
it
we're
just,
not trained professionals, but we are just sharing our experience. And I found I've taken great help from other people who've shared their experience, and people on here as well who have shared their experience, so that if we can do that for somebody else, then that's our aim, really, isn't it?
it is, that is the mission statement here. Is just
Mm.
sharing our experience, strength, and hope with others in the hopes that we can help somebody
Mhm.
not feel so lonely and not feel uh, like this is um,
Yeah.
a bad thing or
Mhm.
something to be ashamed of. Um,
Yeah.
it's certainly not, and we're here. Like we said at the beginning of the broadcast, you can hit us up on our bio link and talk to us anytime. We love chatting with all of you that talk to us outside of the show.
Mhm.
Another quick reminder for please help our good friend Vegan Doe,
Mhm.
um, who we had on the broadcast last week, uh, is out there walking the 100-mile walk, which is 160 kilometers in the UK, for the UK charity Mind,
Mhm.
a great mental health charity, raising awareness and helping out in many ways. At very minimum, we ask if you wouldn't mind just going over to the link provided there. I think it's also in our bio link.
It is, it's right
Um,
at the top. Yeah.
and just take a second to look through the page and read what it's all about. And if you feel inclined to, maybe donate a little to the cause. So
Mhm.
shout out to Doe Darling for what um, for taking the initiative to get out there and walk for this cause. It's awesome. And
Mhm.
catch the replay with Doe from last week. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, moving forward with the gaslighting. Um, so I'll go back again and touch for those of you just joining. Um,
Mhm.
we watched a little bit of a video. If you didn't get to see it, I do suggest checking the replay out after we're done this evening, because it does have some great information. And I believe it's from Psych to Go, which is
Yeah.
another great resource on the interwebs for anything mental health related. Um,
Mhm.
but as I stated earlier, it's not always just what is happening to us. It's sometimes we're doing the things. And gaslighting, I've learned, is what was one of my crutches for continuing to be able to do what I wanted to do. You know,
Mm.
and I guess in the very thick of my drinking and everything, it's funny to think that I wasn't just only gaslighting everybody. I was gaslighting myself into
Mm.
thinking like I was fine, you know, and that's kind of scary to think that you can gaslight yourself too. Like, I mean, there's like I said earlier. I mean, we're keeping it with the idea of relationships, but I mean, corporate companies, they do it. Politics,
Oh, yeah.
religion, everything.
Mm.
Gaslighting is everywhere. But
Mm.
we want to put forth a little light. We want to shed light onto the relationship side of things because it can be an abusive environment, emotionally, psychologically. Um, it can be taxing on your own mental health. Yes, and it happens in friendships too, most certainly. So a lot of the information provided, and Gemma is going to go through some slides with us here
Mhm.
in shortly. A lot of this information that Gemma is going to go over with us um, can be transferred, remember, to friendships or to the corporate business. I know Amazon has come under a lot of scrutiny for the way they're treating their employees and whatnot. This is all in the
Facebook
news.
stuff.
We're not calling out Amazon or
Mhm.
anything like that. I'd like to make that known, but I'm
Mhm.
just pulling from the headlines.
Yeah.
Facebook is big in the news right now.
Mhm.
Certainly, gaslighting is
It's everywhere. Mhm.
a corporate scheme as well. So
Mhm.
Gemma, if you wouldn't mind taking us through some of these slides and
Yeah.
imparting the wisdom that you do.
I won't be able to see the comments because for some reason you have to scroll right across this page on mine. So you just keep an eye on them while I'm
That's
going
fine.
through.
Yeah.
Right, I'll pop them up then. So narcissism, which we went through not last week but the week before, is very strongly connected with gaslighting. And it says in here with the narcissistic personality disorder comes with symptoms of grandiosity, no empathy for others, and an obsessive need for admiration. And spotting that the narcissistic gaslighter, they tend to come pretty much hand in hand. I've noticed with everything that I've come across personally and both when I've had the therapy myself. They think that they are unique and gifted. In actuality, their self-esteem is pretty fragile, and I think that's why a lot of the time they feel the need to put others down to make them above other people. Um, then they need others to think highly of them, so they go out of their way to get praise and admiration from other people. They can't handle the criticism or losing things. They like if they get criticized for anything at all, they can't handle that. They go out of their way to get like if somebody says something bad, say for example on social media or something, then they will go out of their way to make sure that it is known that that's happened and they want them to be dealt with very, very severely, like banning, for example. It's like they can't cope with it. They can give it, but they can't take it. And they're very, very easily and deeply humiliated by that. Um, just
Mm,
get the next one up. So gaslighting behavior examples, so like lying, saying negative things about you, like the victim, so the person that they're targeting, indicating inadequacies, causing you to be defensive, causing like severe upset, trying to damage somebody else's person and character. Then disputes. If you attempt to call the gaslighter out on their lies, they will escalate their tactics. So like they go out of their way to make it so that it's like they can't accept that, if you're calling them out on that, then they're like, no, they can't accept that. They've got to go one next. They've got to have the final say in the things that they're
Hmm.
doing. And if you call them out on it, they've got to go that one step further because they are the one that's got to have the final say.
Right.
Right. Some examples here of gaslighting. Now, so they deny what they've previously said and ask you to prove it. And then in that way, you'll start doubting your own memory, start questioning the things you've done and said, criticizing what you love to the extent that you start questioning even your own identity, obviously lying to your face in a demeanor that makes you unsure of anything that you say, occasionally doing nice things for you so that you'll stay confused. Like, certainly with one of my experiences, like, I'd had something happen to me, and I got to the point where I thought I was losing my mind, and then they brought me some flowers, and that's a way of, like, because you start to question the things that are going on,
Hmm.
and then they'll, like, give you a gift, for example, and then you think, "Oh, they're not all that bad, they've done this for me,
Like a
that's
little
nice."
bribery kind of thing,
But
almost.
usually, yeah, like, yeah, definitely, but then usually that gift comes with, like, a payback later on.
Strings
Like, if
attached,
they
yes.
yeah, there's always strings attached with that. Projecting by accusing you of the things they might be doing, for example, lying, so that you're constantly trying to defend yourself. So your defenses are up, waiting for the next thing, and then saying something completely different than what they're actually doing. Um, that's a few examples there. Then we've got this one now. I find this one quite full on, but there's quite a lot of good examples on here. So common things that they might say, like, this is like common phrases from the gaslighter. So what does gaslighting sound like? Rather than the behavior, this is more like the things that they will say. So, you're making a big deal out of nothing, like always, or you're acting crazy, it's your fault. I was just
Yeah.
joking, you take everything personally. You're always twisting things. You're too sensitive. You're upset over nothing. You're imagining things. You made me do that. You're always making stuff up. You know I never said that. You're not thinking clearly. You know you sound insane, right? You're not
Hmm.
thinking. Oh, no, you're not thinking clearly. That's again. You're remembering things wrong. That's another way of trying to make you doubt your own memory. Just calm down. You're so dramatic. You always jump to the wrong conclusions, and you're just being paranoid.
Yeah.
That's like what gaslighting sounds like. No, I'm
Yes.
just gonna pull that.
And as Jim said, uh, hey
Oh,
Doe,
it's Jimmy.
and welcome on in,
Sorry,
Doe
I
and
couldn't see all the
Jim in
comments.
Chicagoland. Yeah, Jim's here, and Doe's here, and Michael is still here. Yes, Jim said very funnily, that's my boss in a nutshell. Yeah, we can absolutely. Hey, Med, how are you? We can absolutely,
Perhaps takeover
100%.
finished.
Uh, I think a lot of people could put that into their work relationship as well. You know, it's not just an at-home thing, and as we've gone over, um, it's out there and everything. And this information that Gemma so kindly just went over on those slides can easily transfer to um, any aspect of your life, any relationship in your life, and any working environment uh, or friendship, all alike. Um, so, what now that we know what we're dealing with, what do we do about it? What do we think about it? Um, how do we, better our lives when it all is coming to a head? Now that we're starting to see things. So, like I was saying earlier, uh, for those of you just joining, I was talking. Hi, Wolf Puppy. Thanks for the award. I was telling the folks earlier that it's not always, something we want to do with this show is to educate and share our experience, our strengths, our hopes, our weaknesses, and in with the good comes the bad. So in prepping for this episode, I'm reading a lot about gaslighting and taking some notes, and I'm thinking the whole time, man, this is me. I did this stuff. I did almost
Mm.
all of this. When I was drinking, I was
Mhm.
gaslighting my relationships, I was gaslighting my work, I was gaslighting everything so that I could keep drinking, so that I could prove to everybody that I didn't have a problem, and so I could manipulate the situation that better outcame me, or I got the better outcome out of the deal because I got to do what I wanted to do, and that was all that mattered. So we use gaslighting as a way to get what we want, manipulate the situation. It's done in politics all the time. It's done in the corporate world, and it's all for it's a very selfish thing in the grand scheme of it. So I wanted to continue to drink, and I wanted to prove to the world that I could drink safely and that I could do it without any problems. So I gaslighted the shit out of my parents, my ex-wife, my now wife, my work, my friends, everything, everybody in my life. I was gaslighting. I was the culprit, and I'm taking a look in the mirror while I'm researching the show, and I'm saying that it's not all about what we went through. Sometimes it's what we put out there. It's the product that we put out there for everybody to see. And you know, I fully take responsibility for that. And now that I'm not drinking anymore, I feel like my gaslighting. I'm not. I don't see it in myself as much anymore
Mm.
because I don't. I think learning all of this about myself, learning about my depression, and learning about what I've been going through the past 15 years um, has all come to a head with my inpatient rehab stay, and I was able to take so much information and learn so much about me uh, that I was just blown away about exactly what I was going through. And now I can move forward. I was talking with a friend earlier about this very topic of learning more about yourself. You cannot take steps in the right direction of bettering your life or doing anything that can potentially uh, better your mental health or um, help you along the road you're traveling unless you understand exactly what you're going through on the inside. So me not knowing, for example, a very short example, me not knowing the extent of my depression did nothing for me in helping me try and get the help that I needed because obviously I didn't think there was a problem. So then I just wound up gaslighting everybody and getting what I wanted out of it, which was I don't have a problem. I can drink all I want. Um, so, I mean, I feel like I'm being a little long-winded about it, but I just wanted to throw that out there as well. That we are not perfect, and we're certainly not up here trying to get on a soapbox and
Mm.
say that this is, how you should live your life and what have you. We're just up here. Gemma and I come on. You guys invite us into your homes every week, and we're ever grateful for that. That you can listen to what we have to say and listen to our experience. Hi, Lucia. Welcome on in. Hi, Veda. Um,
Hey.
welcome in, everybody. Uh, and so yeah, I mean, it's not just all about what happens to me. It's a lot of also it can be what I'm doing to people. So yeah, like I said, I was definitely gaslighting, and I'll leave it at that. Um, for my personal side of things on this one, it wasn't that I was gaslighted. I was gaslighting everybody else so that I could get what I wanted. Um,
Mhm.
what else do you have on the information so far there, Gemma?
Um, well, like the fact that you realized and put change to that is huge because, as I said earlier, people will gaslight for different reasons. And if you can like notice that and start to put change to that, be self-aware of doing that, and are willing to make that change, then that's brilliant. There are some people out there that do it constantly and will never ever change because they have to feel like they are more important than other people. They have to bring other people down to make them feel superior. And like my experience both with my parents and then previous relationships, there was the only way with especially with the relationships that I was ever going to escape that is to escape the relationship because it was very obvious that he was never going to change. So my only way out of that was to get out of the relationship, because otherwise I dread to think where that would have gone. But it's trying to notice that you're in that situation because gaslighting makes you think that it's yourself that's going crazy. Like, I have genuine memory problems now that are like silly little things like I'll lock the door, go to the car, and then like think, did I lock the door? And did I do this? Did I turn that off? And a lot of that is to do with the fact that when I was in those relationships, I was made to doubt my own memory because I'd think and I'd say, I did that or I did this or this is what happened. And they'd be like, no, you didn't. It happened like this. And if that's constantly happening repeatedly in a relationship or in any kind of setting, you start to think, well, could I be wrong? Is that something that happened? Did I do that? And the more and more it happens, it starts to literally tear your walls down to the point where you think, well, I must be wrong. And with all the other things that are thrown into it, like they'll be telling you that you're useless, that nobody's like you're no good, and you've done this wrong, you've done that wrong, and you're thinking, well, I must be wrong because I'm this, and I must be wrong because I'm that. And it is, yeah, like those said, it is really, really cruel. And I mean, there's different types, like you said, yours was for wanting to do what you wanted to do, and so that you could make sure that you didn't feel like you were doing something wrong. It wasn't necessarily about controlling a other person per se, as allowing them to let you carry on with what you were doing. But
Hmm.
certainly with the ones that I experienced, it was about controlling me, making sure that I never left the house, making sure that I was the one that stayed home, did the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, the looking after the children, like everything. And with my parents as well, even as such as last week, for example, I was given a decision to make. Like, I'm not going to go into details of what it was, but they said, right, you choose. Do you want this option or this option? And then you start overthinking things, trying to think into the future, like, well, if I pick that option, then that's going to happen. And if I pick that option, that's going to happen. And sometimes you don't pick the option that you want, that you know is for the best for you, but you end up picking the option that you know they want so that you've got a quieter life. And that's certainly what I've been doing for the sake of my son. Now, if I didn't have a child, I'd have been like, and I'd have gone. I would have. But for
Hmm.
his benefit and to keep a quiet life, I know they're doing it now. It took me many, many years to realize that was what was going on. But I like they give you the options and it's like, well, if you do pick the one that they don't want, they're going to make your life miserable for it.
Hmm.
And they'll just keep going on and on about it and nitpicking and like pulling you to pieces about it.
Yeah.
And it's like they're giving
Yeah.
you a choice, but then they make you feel like you're bad for choosing that choice
They'll
when
give you a
really the choice is
choice.
only your own. There's never a choice. They're
They'll
making you
give you
think
a
there's a
choice, but
choice.
then they'll push you into the direction of the
Yeah.
answer they're looking for. It's
Yeah,
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 it's
pretty much,
completely
and woe
manipulation.
betide if you choose the one that you want and they don't,
Mhm.
because, like, on the very rare occasion that I've done that, it's like you will not hear the end of it. They'll be constantly at you, at you, at you, to the point where you'll either break and say, "Okay, I'll do that instead,"
Mhm.
or, like, again, you just start to break down and doubt everything and, like, "Oh, well, I am a bad person. I shouldn't have picked that because, like," and they do, they'll make you think that you were selfish for picking that, and it's like, you know, it's cruel. It's very, very cruel.
Certainly, certainly is. Um,
Mm,
and just to re-go over, for those of you just joining, um, just to re-go over some of the slide here that Gemma went over. What does
mhm,
gaslighting sound like? Well, from your end, if you're being gaslighted, you're going to hear the things like you're not thinking clearly. Just calm down. You're being dramatic. Hi, Anthony. How are you? Welcome on in. You're imagining things. You're upset over nothing. You're too sensitive. All of these, all of these talking point or potentially could be gaslighting um,
mm,
in the workplace, in your friendships, in your relationships at home, etc. And I'd just like to point out that not everybody that says those things is gaslighting you. So we should also throw that out there. Like, just if somebody
yeah,
calls you sensitive or something, they're not always gaslighting you. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but if it's a constant and ever present
mm,
thing in their life that they just seem to be, m- like you said, Gemma, pushing you towards the decision, or giving
yeah,
you a choice and then pushing you towards exactly where they want you to be. So
mhm,
almost like you came up with this great idea, but really they just
yeah,
manipulated
they're
you
steering
into.
you in the
Hmm,
direction in which they want, and
yeah,
if you start to, like, come off that track, they will steer you back onto it, whichever way possible,
yeah,
but make you think that you actually did that and you were the one that chose that, so then that if it goes, like, wrong, it's your fault. You chose that, you did that, and it ugh, there's so many
yeah. Then
aspects to.
yeah, they have a scapegoat now too.
Mhm,
It works out in their favor no matter what. I mean, they get what they want, and then if it falls flat, then they don't have to take any of the blame.
mhm,
Um, so I mean, that's a classic example of some workplace stuff, like Jim and Lucia were talking about in the comments. That's classic workplace gaslighting.
mm,
The micromanaging, the pretending to allow you to have this brilliant idea, but really they were just steering you in that direction the whole time. And then also, if the idea is no good, they don't
mm,
have to take any of the blame. Um,
yeah,
it all falls on you.
mhm,
Classic workplace stuff. Um,
mhm,
and I do appreciate everybody coming in, and we appreciate all the awards here. It does really help support mental health. We I put all of the award money that we get here towards my home group AA, so it goes right back into a uh, a good place. As soon as I can cash it out, it's already earmarked for it, so it's
mhm,
going to AA um, to help the AA group that I co-founded
yeah,
here in Frederick
exactly.
for first responders. So thank you guys for all the award money as always, and thanks for joining us every week. We love talking to you guys. We love seeing you guys talk to each other in the comment section. Um, it's really great to see how many people are affected by the different topics we come up with every single week. Thank you guys for the one awards, Dina and Med, and Michael, for the great discussion award.
Yeah, thank
It really is great to see what everybody thinks about the topics that we come up with. And this is our second episode now that we've done uh, that were that was a viewer uh, chosen topic.
yeah.
Um, so Gemma will throw it in the comments one last time here, and if you can throw Doe's uh, thing in there again as well.
It is on the
Um,
bio link as well.
it
It's
is
right at
on the
the top
bio
of our
link. That's
bio link,
true.
but it's here as well.
But while we're wrapping up this episode, I'd like to take the opportunity, as I said, to thank everybody. And don't forget, tonight is Catalyst Wednesday uh, with Jim in Chicagoland, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, what is that? 8 p.m. on the Pacific side of the country. And there in Chicagoland, it'll be 10. Can you prevent it from raining? I don't think I'm that good. Um, but we can sit here and enjoy a candle just the same. It's all about the conversation. If you haven't been to Jim's Catalyst program, please, I implore you to go check it out. It's great conversation, great folks, and it's a great way to kind of relax
Yeah.
towards the end of the middle of the week. Everybody's nerves are high. Let's get to that weekend. Um, and also, Doe Darling is in the comments
Mhm.
with us again this week.
Yeah.
We did it. We did an episode with Doe last week, and please go check out the tinyurl.com/vegan dough. Uh,
Yeah. It's on
at
the
very,
bio.
it's in our bio link as well. At very minimum, um, go check out the website and read about what the walk is about, and it's for the UK charity Mind for mental health, and those out there uh, doing 100 miles or 160 kilometers this month of October for that charity, raising money. You can donate to Doe and on that website and just read about the story and what Doe is out there doing. So we greatly appreciate Doe coming on the show last week, and
Mhm.
that was one of our best episodes to date. I think everybody really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I enjoyed this topic as well, gaslighting.
Mhm.
It was very nice and different to be able to talk about something on this program that affected me in a very different way. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I all the all the time that we've been doing this show, it's all been about our experience, our our experiences with the topic at hand and how we've dealt with it. This is the first one where I was able to take a step back and say, "Hey, I was the aggressor here. I was the one that was screwing up. I was gaslighting." Um, and I can't stress enough that it's still okay. I mean, it's not a very nice thing, as we've it's a cruel thing, but I've recognized it now, and I've certainly addressed my own mental health, and I've addressed things that I want to better now that I'm not drinking
Mhm.
anymore, and how to make myself a better person and a better husband this time around,
Mhm.
and realizing that I was gaslighting is huge, because I can move forward with one more thing up here, knowing that I can be
Mhm.
better at. And like I said, it's certainly gotten a lot better all on its own with just taking the alcohol out of my life completely.
Yeah.
Um, so, but now that I've done all this research for this episode and read about it, it's just very eye opening to
I was
me.
gonna say that. Did you find that doing the research for this episode and going through what we've got together, that it brought more to you than you knew? Have you found this educational yourself as well?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Every day
Um,
is a school day.
yeah, so I mean, and that's the thing with doing these episodes, with doing the mental health hour, and with my recovery, with anybody's recovery or their road to recovery, you have to keep learning. You have to keep uh, making yourself better. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that very much. So um, you have to keep you have to keep moving forward. You can't stay stagnant. You can't stay stale. There's always something to be learning, and this week's episode proves it. Like I learned a lot about gaslighting, and I learned how I how I was gaslighting people, and it's not an easy thing to come to terms with when you're in the wrong, but
Mhm.
it's also so liberating to be able to recognize it and to be able to take a step back and say, I was causing harm in a way, and I need to make a change and make things better. And it really does help you keep on that right path for your own sanity, for your own soundness. And yeah, uh, so thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And Gemma, do you have any closing remarks before we get out of here for the week?
Not specifically on the gaslighting stuff. I just want to thank everybody for being here in the comments, for the replays, for the chatting between us. Thank you, Jim, for the comment you made as well. That means a lot. And but just thank you for the continued support. That's what we're on episode 19 now. And without people like watching and interacting, we wouldn't have got this far. Like that's what I picked you up on. I started on 5. Yeah, I was episode 5 and
Yeah,
we just picked up from there. And like I'm always grateful that we found each other and did this, because I think that I was just going to type it in, but I don't need to continue typing it now. But I think that even if we can just help between us, like help one person,
hmm,
then that's something, you know. I mean, I I know I've taken some stick in the past for some stuff, but my aim is to try and share my experience, not to brag, but to try and help other people.
that's
Um,
what it's all about.
you know, because as I've said, I've been at the lowest of the low where I've had no one to help me get up from rock bottom. And if I can just help one other person to get the help they need before they hit the rock bottom, then that's good enough for me. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's a
Hmm.
great place to end, and I thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Just real quick, one more thank you to Michael Murray, Wolf Puppy, Dina D, Jim in Chicagoland, The Med, and Doe Darling for all the
Hmm.
awards and the continued support. And thank you, everybody, for being here and listening to us and and giving us an opportunity to come in and talk to you about some awesome topics and things that affect all of us on a daily basis. So thanks for tuning in
Yeah.
again, guys. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, and we'll be back with another great topic on the Mental Health Hour.
I've got this video. I'll start. I'm running. Don't you worry. Right. This. I hope this is okay, Doe.